they are not equipped to. This is not a vintage Nick Saban team without Bryce Young. Last week, they were lucky to win the game. It took really an amazing effort at the end to figure this thing out. They're a troubled team at times. They've made 49 penalties. They don't force takeaways. They don't do some of the things that we are used to. And on offense, even with Bryce Young, guys, it's not the same. And Stephen A., listen, I'm going to yield my time to you because I feel like you know so much more than all the rest of us about Alabama football. You've got the inside track to what Nick Saban is thinking. So tell us, what's going to happen to your team? What's going to happen to your boys?
Yeah, tell us.
For the first time since I've been sitting up here, I'm actually thinking Alabama going to lose a game. It's the God's honest truth. In the last 3 or 4 years that I've been on this show, I've never sat up here on a weekend and thought that Alabama was going to lose. I actually never thought they would lose a game in 4 years until today. Because I don't like what I'm seeing. This kid, Milroy, the quarterback, filling in for Bryce Young, he ain't the answer. I'm sure he's got tremendous promise. He's complete 60% of his passes. He's an athlete. He can run with the football. I get it. But the ability to throw with accuracy and to have pocket presence, I question. That's not to say he's a finished product because I know he's not. Jalen Hurts, one coach that once played at Alabama and played like trash in the national championship game before Tua Tagovailoa had to come and save the day. He goes to Oklahoma. He takes them to the playoffs, okay? He's in the NFL right now. He's an MVP candidate, all right? The epitaph is not written on your career if you're this guy, Milroy. I get all of that. But he ain't no damn Bryce Young, okay? And they're going against, who's this guy, this quarterback? Hooker, is that his name, in Tennessee? He hasn't thrown an interception. Yeah, that's right. Aiden Hooker, he's got like 10 touchdowns. He's got no interceptions. He's completing 70% of his passes. They're playing without money because the expectation is always that, guess what? They're going to be the ones to beat, they're going to lose to Alabama. But they are at Tennessee. They are at Tennessee. This is not a game in Tuscaloosa, okay? And as far as I'm concerned, the Tide, roll Tide, they need Bryce Young to roll. If they don't, I have to agree with the mouth of the South. I think Tennessee is going to knock off Alabama unless Bryce Young plays.
And Paul, I think even if he does play, and I'm assuming he will, what makes me think that they're going to win a game that easy? They barely beat Texas. They should have lost that game if it wasn't for the bad call in the end zone. That should have been an intentional grounding safety. Texas would have won the game, and Young played in that game.
I have no recollection.
Tennessee played great at LSU. They scored 40 points. They killed Brian Kelly. The quarterback's good. Heupel, you know the area a lot better than me, but Heupel's done a tremendous job up there in Knoxville. Now, they never beat Alabama. Every third week in October, they get killed every year. Big rivalry. They haven't been a factor in this rivalry in a long time.
Right.
That worries me, but I think this is the year, Paulie, that they have an excellent opportunity to win this game.
Alabama's a top 3 ranked team in the nation. They don't look it. Let's just call it what it is. They don't look like a top 3 ranked team. But, Paul, I want to go to you because I got something on my mind that doesn't have anything to do with Alabama. I'm going to watch Tennessee this Saturday against Alabama because they beat Florida 2 weeks ago, 38-33. They ramrodded LSU. I am not hearing anything good about Brian Kelly. I've interviewed him a few times in the past. I know he had a stellar record at Notre Dame. I like him. They looked awful at LSU last week. Awful. Okay? And I'm thinking Tennessee just rolled over them like 40-13. I'm hearing the players ain't fond of him. The administration ain't fond of him. The fans ain't fond of him. The town ain't fond of him. I'm going to be looking to see Tennessee against Alabama, Paul, because it's going to tell me whether or not Tennessee is really that good or was it just that LSU is that bad? Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, I'm not one to normally defend coaches, but I think it's early on Brian Kelly. The reason why this weekend is important for Brian Kelly, and I know we're getting into the weeds here, LSU's at Florida, and Billy Napier was in the state last year, and LSU chose Brian Kelly over Billy Napier. So there's that. But Stephen A., Ed Ogeron left that program in a disaster. So I'm going to give Brian, you were giving Milrose some time to matriculate. I'm going to give Brian Kelly some time. But one thing I am most happy about, Dog, is that Stephen A. is now finally paying a little bit of attention to college football. And I was worried about you, Stephen A. I'm flipping the dial the other night, and there you are talking about the President of the United States with Sean Hannity. You're out on General Hospital. You're pushing your memoir. I'm just glad you had time to flip on a college football game on Saturday between all of that and running for President of the United States. I mean, welcome back to our world, Stephen A.
Well, listen. The people called. First it was Port Charles. They needed brick in the house because we had a surveillance issue. And since I'm a surveillance expert with the mob on the soap opera General Hospital, my duties called. And then after that, I had some NBA stuff to do.
You protect people?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I had the NBA to look out for. I had some NFL stuff to watch. But of course, I'm going to watch Alabama. And I was not happy with what I was seeing.
I didn't know.
I expected Jimbo Fisher to get his comeuppance for the way he was running his mouth a few months earlier. I didn't expect them to be shaking hands before the game. I didn't expect them to, sing Kumbaya to one another. And I certainly didn't expect it to be a nail biter, okay? Nor did I expect that against Texas and Steve Sarkisian, because we know what Nick Saban usually does to his subordinates, to his assistant coaches when they become head coaches and go elsewhere. But having said all of that, again, I'm going to watch these games. You know why? Because it's important. Because when you are a man of the people need to know that you're paying attention to what they want you to pay attention to, Paul.
Can I ask Paulie a question?
Sure, as long as he's done.
Paul, they have Tennessee for a minute. They got Alabama, and they play at Georgia. I mean, Tennessee literally has a chance to play in the Final Four. They beat Georgia. They're going to win the SEC East. Tennessee's got a chance.
They got a chance. They won't get there, but they got a chance.
You're right.
And that's what I like.
And let me talk about Josh Heupel, the coach, for a second. 22 years ago, he was the starting quarterback at Oklahoma. He came in he led them to a national championship and came in second in the Heisman. And nobody saw this coming. This guy has literally done a better coaching job this year than Nick Saban. I know Stephen A. won't believe that. But this is not a vintage Nick Saban coaching job. I'm concerned about him, Stephen A. I'm not saying anything. I'm not pushing him out the door. He turned 71 in a couple weeks. But
what are you
he's
trying
not
to say
doing a great job.
What do you mean you worried about him? What?
You need to talk to your coach, Nick Saban.
What do you need? Well, I mean, listen, you got to listen, the quarterback is out there,
I'm watching
healthy and ready
games.
to go. Alabama will roll like they always do.
No, they're not. Listen, I mean, I love your confidence, but Stephen A., you said it earlier. When was the last time you were right about Alabama?
You mean when's the last time I was right about Alabama? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
I've been right many times about Alabama.
They're going to beat Georgia last year. They're going to beat Texas by 40 points.
I was wrong about the blowout.
They're going to humiliate
I was wrong
Jimbo
about the
Fisher.
blowout.
My question again: when was the last time you've been right